Leonard Cohen was a Canadian singer-songwriter, poet and novelist. His work mostly explored topics like politics, religion, depression and sexuality, and he rose to fame after his first album because he was an extraordinarily good writer. People expect instant gratification nowadays, whether it be online or not, but the art of perseverance seems lost as a result of it.
My mind was always very cluttered, so I took great pains to simplify my environment.
And Cohen continued saying the following: try to ignore it, try to repress it, try to get high, try to get intoxicated, try to get sober, all the versions of myself that I can summon are summoned to participate in this project. I try everything, I'll do anything by any means possible. Cohen was not afraid to use drugs, and contrary, he used it to explore every creative part of himself. It improved his focus, his drive and his workforce.
Well, it's not a matter of the help. I mean, you can cooperate with the vision that alcohol gives you. You can cooperate with the vision that LSD gives you. And I think we ought to use them. But also there's another kind of high to get from refusing to use them. You know, there's all kinds of possibilities.
Cohen stood open to the idea of achieving the goal by any means possible, and he used this technique also on the length and time of a song, stating in an interview: some songs take a decade to write, Anthem took a decade to write. The whole thing completely finished. There was a lie somewhere in there. There was a disclosure that I was refusing to make. And he also stated this on a song, Born in Chains, that's been kicking around for 40 years. I've rewritten the lyric many times to accommodate the changes in my theological position, which is very insecure. Cohen was used to this waiting game. He didn't want to rush a song or a poem if the feeling and statement of the work was not right. He didn't need financial gain or fame and did not feel rushed to finish something. He didn't know if a song or poem was going to work unless he would write them stating, "It takes me months and months of full employment to break the code of the song to find out if there can be a song there." Hallelujah was written over a 7-year period with over 80 draft verses before cutting it down to 4, and like Tchaikovsky said on work ethic versus inspiration, a self-respecting artist must not fold his hands on the pretext that he's not in the mood. We must be patient and believe that inspiration will come to those who can master the disinclination. And Cohen, for me at least, was a master of patience and perseverance. I'm writing all the time, and as the songs begin to coalesce, I'm not doing anything else but writing. It takes me a great deal of time to find out what the song is, so I'm working most of the time.
So I just love that regime, getting up in the morning and having your coffee and playing guitar for half an hour or so, then going to the typewriter and doing a quote every day. It just locates your whole day.
And many other writers agreed on this matter. For example, E.B. White said, "A writer who waits for ideal conditions under which to work will die without putting a word on paper." Leonard Cohen has expanded the vocabulary of the popular song into the domain of poetry. He was extremely dedicated to work and rework his songs and poems until he would achieve a kind of impossible perfection.
I've forgotten the meaning of the whole poem. The message comes through, you know, with the body, with the eyes and the voice. You could really be reading the instructions from a shoe polish can. If you want people to have shiny shoes, you want to write those kind of very good instructions. And if you want to polish other parts of yourself, you do it with poetry.
An artist creates, and Leonard Cohen mastered the idea behind creation. An artist has no desire to create something for something unless it has an absolute need to be created. Cohen talked about a similar thing when he read a book named 7 Types of Ambiguity, stating, "One of the things it criticized was something called the author's intention. It doesn't matter what the author's intention in the piece is, or what his interpretation of the piece is, or what his evaluation or estimation of the piece is. It exists independently of his own opinions about it." There are always meaningful songs for somebody. People are getting through the day with songs that we may find insignificant, but their significance is affirmed by others. There's always someone affirming the significance of a song by taking a woman into his arms or by getting through the night. That's what dignifies a song. Songs don't dignify human activity. Human activity dignifies the song. I personally adore this novel, Beautiful Losers. It's filled with mysticism, sexuality and symbolism. He wanted to write a liturgy, a big confessional oration using all the techniques of the modern novel. He would write for 15 hours a day at some point in time, and this translates back to the idea that his work, any creative work for that matter, should not be rushed. It should be polished until Cohen achieved his impossible perfection.
Depression has certainly been an element that I've had to deal with all through my life.
And although Cohen kept writing during his depression, it might have meant nothing. It was not to create order in the chaos, but to document the chaos.
You know, I think that everybody suffers tremendously, and everybody's always on the edge of a kind of collapse, and everybody's always on the edge of, you know, throwing the towel in.
And on his book, Book of Mercy, he discussed the origin of the idea for the book in an interview, saying,
"For me, it was not just useful, but urgent. So it comes out of, as I say, not a literary decision to, add another prayer to a world which has great liturgical literature. But it was just the only expression available to me at that kind of moment."
So in the end, Cohen was someone who mastered the art of reflection, to reflect life, to put meaning in songs and poems and words. Beside the fact that he studied many books, many writers and many creative souls, he especially studied life. Poetry is just the evidence of life. If your life is burning well, poetry is just the ash. And I think Cohen's life burned extraordinarily well. There's no endgame for Leonard Cohen. There's no need to finish an album or a song or a novel or a poem. There was only a need to write.